On the show this week, we traverse the breadth of the world's second largest country, Canada. Updates from the world of automobiles. And vital tips to help keep you safe while driving in the fog.
Canada, the world's second largest country in terms of area, it is spread over almost 10 million square kilometers. It is divided into 10 provinces across a total of 4 time zones. And tying them all together is the Trans-Canada Highway.
But why are we telling you all this? You see, we here at AutoToday are always up for a big adventure, and this one is truly epic. What we plan to do is drive the entire length of this country, right from Quebec City all the way to Vancouver, which is about 5,000 kilometers away. Throughout the journey, we'll take you through the most picturesque places in this country, the best roads, the best food, and we'll show you everything there is to see about Canada. I know it sounds like a daunting task, especially keeping the weather in mind, but trust me, it's not going to be. It's going to be the most fun we've had on a road trip in a long time. So sit back and watch this.
Time to hop into our car and start exploring. Our journey starts in Quebec City. Unlike Canada's big metropolitans, this city charms you with its laid-back nature. Magnificent architecture, and its decked up streets courtesy the ongoing festive season. Covered in snow, Quebec City is especially beautiful this time of the year. The most iconic building in Quebec City is the Fairmont La Chateau Frontenac. Overlooking the St. Lawrence River, it holds the Guinness World Record of the most photographed hotel in the world. It's easy to get lost admiring the streets of Quebec City, but we had a schedule to stick to, so by sundown, we were on our way to Quebec province's biggest city, Montreal, which is just 2 to 3 hours away. In stark contrast to the easygoing Quebec City, Montreal is a bustling metropolitan, but don't let the fast-paced life fool you, for there is lot to do here all year around.
So a must-visit place if you're in Montreal is Mount Royal. And I don't really need to tell you why. I mean, just look at the view. It offers a beautiful view of the entire city. You can see almost every part of it from here. And it also gives you a bit of a history lesson because it tells you why this place is called Montreal.
It derives its name from Mount Royal, the triple-peaked hill in the heart of the city. Mount Royal Park offers not only a splendid view of the city, but is also a quick getaway from the busy city streets. Oh, and it is home to scores of friendly squirrels too. Montreal houses 50 National Historic Sites of Canada, more than any other city. Some of the city's earliest still standing buildings date back to the late 17th and early 18th centuries. Most are clustered around the old Montreal area. The area is a visual treat for those who appreciate history and architecture. A prime example is the Notre Dame Basilica. The 17th century church sits close to Place d'Armes, is the second oldest public site in Montreal. It houses the iconic Maisonneuve monument dedicated to Montreal's founder. A walk through Old Montreal should be on every traveler's list. There is just so much to see in Old Montreal that it is impossible to fit everything into one segment. We promised you good food at the start of our journey, and with that mind, we landed up in what is perhaps Canada's and not just Montreal's most famous eatery. Schwartz. Famous for its smoked meat sandwich, the deli has people queuing up on the sidewalk during the summer months. Great food and a warm staff makes Schwartz a place that is not to be missed when in Montreal. From Montreal, we go back on the Trans-Canada Highway and set our GPS for Canada's capital, Ottawa. Incorporated as Ottawa in 1855, the city is the political centre of Canada. It is home to the Parliament of Canada. Located atop the aptly named Parliament Hill, the grandeur of the centre block is reason enough to get this into your list of must-visit places in Ottawa. Boasting Gothic Revival style architecture, it stands 472 feet tall. The approach to the centre block is dominated by the intriguing Centennial Flame, fueled by natural gas, housed in a fountain. It was put in place to commemorate Canada's 100th anniversary in 1967. The fountain contains the shields of Canada's 13 provinces and territories. Ottawa is also home to the National Gallery, dominated by a sculpture of a spider, which is among the world's largest, measuring over 30 feet high and over 33 feet wide. Created by Louis Bourgeois, it is described as a nurturing and protective symbol of fertility and motherhood. But our first stop was the Canada Science and Technology Museum. As its name suggests, the Canada Science and Technology Museum gives the public a peek into the technological and scientific history of Canada and the ongoing relationships between science, technology, and Canadian society. The interactive setup of the place makes it a big draw for people of all age groups. Its walls house some of the earliest locomotives. The Hall of Trains is just the start to an incredible display ranging from iconic vehicles to the evolution of Canada's iconic Ski-Doo snowmobiles. Treasured artifacts to the popular Crazy Kitchen, which thanks to an angled floor, combined with the tiles and drapes and the whole setting as such, can easily mess with your head and throw your senses off. The start to our Trans-Canadian expedition was enough to make us fall in love with the place, and we had barely seen a fraction of what we had planned. Frankly, we could have spent days soaking in the history and stunning landscapes. But it was time to move forward to the next stop. With the sun setting, painting the sky orange, we resumed our journey on the Trans-Canada Highway with Toronto as our heading. We came out looking for fabulous roads, among other things of course, and Highway 7 did not disappoint. Our Trans-Canadian expedition will continue over the coming weeks as we head further west bringing you more scenic roads, stunning visuals, and a tour of the best places to visit in Canada.
Now it's time for the news this week. MG names its first SUV for India. Harley-Davidson brings an electric concept to reality, and a new Mercedes-Benz hits the road soon.
MG Motor has finally announced the name of its upcoming SUV for the Indian market. Christened MG HECTOR, the new SUV from MG Motor will be the first model from the British brand, and it will compete in India with the likes of Hyundai Tucson, Jeep Compass and the upcoming Tata Harrier. The new MG SUV HECTOR has been named after the legendary British biplane of the same name and will be manufactured locally at MG Motor's Halol facility in Gujarat. Expect the new MG HECTOR by mid-2019. Harley-Davidson has unveiled the first physical models of its electric scooter and electric moped concepts at the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. The two concepts underscore Harley-Davidson's commitment to electric vehicles for the future, although it's still not certain what shape the final production models will take if these electric mobility concepts ever make it to production. The two concepts include what is described as an electric Harley-Davidson scooter and a second electric two-wheeler which could be described as an electric moped with off-road capability. The 2019 Mercedes-Benz CLA has finally been unveiled at CES 2019, and it's no longer the entry-level Mercedes sedan it once was. Slotted below the C-Class, the new CLA looks as good on the inside as it did on the outside and boasts of features straight from the flagship S-Class. The CLA features the usual things that car buyers want, such as an effective engine, airbags, Bluetooth audio streaming and comfy seats. But now, it can monitor your heart rate by syncing with a smartwatch and understands if you are stressed or lacking sleep and adjusts the ambience accordingly. It's a taste of the future, and all the new techno goodies are wrapped up in a fresh metal suit. Hyundai showcased its new unique kind of mobility concept on which it had been working for 3 years at the ongoing Consumer Electronics Show. Hyundai is calling it the Elevate concept, which is a radical four-legged vehicle and has redefined Hyundai's statement of mobility. Combines the best of both autonomous mobility and EV technology and aims to take people where no other vehicle has ever gone before. Hyundai claims that the Elevate concept with its robotic legs can walk or crawl over treacherous terrain and is designed with 4 mechanical legs with wheels for feet. It can also roll along on extended legs or retract them to be driven like a car. Porsche has taken the wraps off the latest 911 Carrera S and 4S Cabriolet weeks after unveiling the coupe version. Both the new 911 Carrera S and 4S Cabriolet models now feature a wider body adopted from the previous generation 911 Carrera 4 and GTS models. The flat 6 turbocharged engine makes 443 bhp in the S model and comes mated to a new 8-speed dual-clutch transmission. It also gets the PASM Sport suspension that features stiffer springs and sway bars as well as 100 lower rider height. Both the models also get optional adaptive 18-watt Sports Watts Plus with improved lateral support and extended digital features ensure greater comfort.
Planning on your next highway trip this winter? Well, stick around for these important tips to help you be safe while negotiating the perils of driving in the fog.
You know, there are always a few days in the year when most of India gets covered, rather whitewashed with fog just like this. Now the weather may be enjoyable, but it's a very testing time for most drivers. So what we're going to give you today are some very basic tips on how you can make your driving experience more safe and better in the fog. Morning mist is a common phenomenon through the winters. To tackle the mist, most people run the wipers dry, which causes a lot of muck. So don't do this. Instead, use the wiper fluid along with the wipers while cleaning morning mist for better car hygiene and visibility. When there is a difference in temperature inside and outside the vehicle, your windows will fog up and reduce visibility. So in addition to the front and rear defoggers, you can tackle this situation by switching on the AC, simultaneously increasing the temperature of the blower and direct the draft towards the windscreen. This will keep your car warm and your vision clear. When you sit in the vehicle, adjust your seat to the highest position to maximize your view of the road. Your headlights and fog lamps will be most useful in the fog. But remember not to drive on high beam. High beam will reduce visibility in foggy conditions. Instead, keep the beam low and focus on the road. Once you are driving, it is advisable to follow the white lines running through the road. It is not advisable to drive along the curb, because curb driving increases the risk of ramming into the curb at a turn. Bigger vehicles emit more heat and therefore tend to disperse more amount of fog around. So it is a good idea to drive behind a truck or a bus in foggy conditions, but don't forget to maintain appropriate distance. So these were some basic tips on what you can do while driving in the fog. But in case everything fails, if you feel there is zero visibility and you just can't manage to drive, it's much better to park the car at a secure location and take a nap and wait for the weather to clear up, because nothing's more important than your safety. I'm Shivan Channa signing off.
Next week on the show, our journey through Canada takes us to the mesmerizing Niagara Falls. So don't forget to tune in to Auto Today.